Mr. Eggplant presents...
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thanks for checking out this video. This video is actually from a Twitch live stream I've had recently. That's at Twitch TV/Mr. Eggplant. I hope you guys would consider throwing me a follow over there.
Are we good?
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thanks for checking out yet another Mythic Plus run here on my channel. So as you saw by the lead-in, we actually did do this one live. I didn't have any of my Twitch stuff out, but this was a great time, and I don't know if I'll continue to do them live or not, but it was a cool experiment, and I hope you guys will consider following me over there. So this is super exciting. We've actually got a chain of 3 Mythic Pluses we did on Monday night, which was the 25th, where, as you can see, we're already in a plus 12, so we time a plus 12, we time a plus 13, and we almost time a plus 14, which is really awesome, because I mean, you guys have been keeping up with the channel where I was posting, you know, our 9s, not timing 10s, like even like 2 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden now we're already like, oh, 10s are nothing, we'll time those 10s, we'll time the 11s, 12s, and 13s now. So I just wanted to say great job to my Canadian buddies that we run with on the weekly basis. They've been making some really, really good progress. And, you know, it really shows in not only the damage, as in Murdoch has been absolutely tearing it up. I want to say he actually out DPSs me in this one, which I did not take that one, you know, lying down. I had to make sure and out DPS him in the next one, which was freehold, so it was easy to do. But nice job, guys. I hope you guys do actually check this out. And you know what? Let's just get right into it. So as I said, this is a plus 12 Waycrest Manor. This was done this last week. So the affixes are fortified, skittish, which you guys are going to hear me talk a lot about skittish, like I always do. One of the best things for a marksman hunter or a hunter in general. Then we also have bolstering, and then we of course have reaping. So on this first pull here, we want to make sure and do not kill the toads, because the toads will bolster the big guy. And you'll hear JB talk about it, maybe not necessarily in this one, but because I'll be dubbing over several of these, or voicing over, whatever you want to call it, to where you'll hear us here, hey, let's make sure we don't do, you know, unnecessary bolstering, because that's one of the hardest things about bolster week, is like you can make dungeons so much harder with bolstering. So let's go ahead and get to our group comp. It's the same group comp as always, but I will go ahead and run through that. We have JB, formerly Morpheus, is our Resto Druid. We've got Cinderai as our Havoc Demon Hunter. We've got Durs on his Blood DK. Murdoch on his Assassination. Rogue, finally remembered that he is Assassination. And of course, myself on Marksman Hunter. So we're already here on the first boss. And like I said, this is fortified week, so sisters aren't nearly as difficult as they normally are. And on this, I am in charge of the Bloodlust, like in every one of our runs. And we want to make sure in Lust, as JB was just testing me, he was like, okay, lust, but you want to lust after somebody is chosen. So as soon as we pop him out of the CC, after he uses all his abilities, we'll go ahead and lust here, and then finish off Selena to get her to half. Then the next one, of course, is Sister Milady, which you want to make sure and continue to move or jump. Unfortunately for us, we had just popped our True Shot, which was probably not the best thing to do, just to get, you know, your full value out of it. But you just want to make sure and jump up. I'll get like 2 stacks is the most I ever get on that one, and it doesn't seem to do, you know, terrible damage. So then we'll move on to Sister Briar here, where this one is you just don't want to kill yourself because she reflects damage, or she does damage every time you attack her, which is kind of nice for us because we attack slow. So maybe using like a rapid fire wouldn't be good on her, but oh well. So we got to Selena here, and then if you guys are new to this dungeon, which I mean if you're watching a plus 12, you're probably not new to it, but once her bar gets sapped here, stupid demon hunters, as soon as their focus bar, rage bar, whatever you want to call it, mana bar, as soon as that reaches full, they do cast a big ability. So I made sure and called that out for the group. That way we know that, hey, make sure we can just get it killed, because on Tyrannical that would have went off and it would do a large amount of damage. So now we are here on Milady, as we want to continue to just jump around, and you know, it's really easy, just because it is only fortified and not tyrannical. This boss is one of the hardest bosses, in my opinion, is one of the hardest bosses in Mythic Plus during tyrannical weeks. So we are going to be getting them this week, and in fact, I believe JB got a plus 13 Waycrest key that we will probably be bringing to the channel at some point here next week. So we got one boss down, and of course, one of my big duties in our group is that I call out enemy forces. So we're at 12%, and like I said, you guys don't hear it in the videos because I do mute my mic when I record, but we just want to make sure and call it out. Say, hey, we're at 18%. You know, this next pull will get us our reaping packs, that sort of thing. You would be surprised how much more fluid our runs are with that. So on this pull, we want to make sure and kill them as evenly as possible because that's just how, you know, how bolstering weeks work. However, we have on this particular pack, the captain needs to be interrupted, so the spectral defenses or spiritual defenses, whatever it is, spirited defense. There we go. Thank you, game. You want to make sure and keep that interrupted just because it makes them stronger. You just want to not have to worry about it. But yet you want to kill like the witch because she does a large amount of damage. So we'll get the second captain here, and every time you hear like the little don't noise, that's where I would have been talking through our Discord. So I was, of course, saying that I could not be the first to interrupt because if you've seen in all of our videos, if there's anything that needs to be interrupted, I'm always the first one because I have the longest cooldown of the 24 seconds on my counter shot. So we'll make sure that these guys are even. So you saw me there. I switched to the guard and then right back to the captain. Because they have pretty much the same amount of health, even though the percentage is different, the amount is pretty, you know, the same. Pretty comparable. There was the word I was looking for. So here's our first reaping, and I must say, these guys have been doing a great job with these reapings. We have been putting them in good positions. We've been calling out, as you guys will hear, you know, hear feet, feet, feet. That's what they've decided to call it whenever they do the smash. Bones. So he'll call out his defensives there. So he'll sell feet again. We want to make sure and interrupt as many of the grave bolts as possible. And just look at freaking Murdoch right there. He was over 117k. Like I can't touch that. No wonder he beat me this run because that is some man's man damage right there.
Who had that? Everyone did.
And we go over how much damage we do as a group at the very end, which, by the way, on this pull here, we want to continue to interrupt that spirited defense, but other than that, it's a pretty easy pull, to where, like, we added up our damage, so, like, I think this particular dungeon, we'll have to look at it when we get to the very end, but I was, like, he was at 20, 22, I think I was, like, at 20.8, then Cinderai was, like, at 17.4, I think, and then if you add Durs, the tank, and add JB, the healer, together, you got another DPS worth of damage, and that makes these so much better. It makes them go so much smoother because you know, Durs is doing some great damage on his Death Knight, and then JB is doing some really good cat weaving damage, especially on weeks like this where he kind of can. You know, some weeks you just can't cat weave. That's just not a thing that you can do. You can't kitty DPS. But this week we definitely benefited from him being able to do that. So we want to make sure and kill these guys relatively even. We have some really good you know, burst AoE in our group. Like, honestly, everybody can. I mean, even JB to an extent with his swipes, I understand that that's not like amazing damage, but for a healer, it's really good. So we didn't want to pull all these together, but you know, that happens once in a while. So the call here is to just go ahead and kill the Thorn Shaper, single target them. And if you guys are running on your Marksman Hunter, if you guys are running with the double tap, this was relatively new to me, like within the last month. I probably have said it in a video, but it will automatically cleave for you. So you don't need to have your bombard hit 3 targets to cleave with your double tap. So that's something to take into consideration, especially like on a fight like Heroic Rosticon in Raid, to where you want to be able to spray on everything to hit everything. But if you just lead with the pre-casted double tap, you don't have to worry about it, and you can just go right into your meat and potatoes aim shots. So we've got two of the shapers here, or I guess only one, excuse me. So on the shapers, you want to make sure and interrupt that, the effigy. That's really the only thing you want to interrupt. The poison there, I think it's actually a disease technically, is easily gotten rid of by your healer, so you don't have to really worry about interrupting that. So here we're coming up on the beefiest pull. So this is the one where we're at the two Thorn shapers. So we just want to make sure and kill them evenly. And I will mark one of them here in just a second. That way it's like, hey, I'm going to interrupt the effigy on this one. So you'll see there, pop that right there. So I will call out in voice that I will interrupt the skull. So there was my interrupt. That way we don't waste any of our cooldowns. But as I was saying, and you can hear JB kind of talking about in the video as well, that this Matron, we're trying to make sure she does not get bolstered, because all those little hounds will bolster her. So the way this is going to end up working, we're trying to just pull the hounds. It doesn't work, so it does pull the Matron as well. So in that situation, so JB is going to go and get aggro on the Matron. We are going to pull the hounds back, which they were kind of confused what we were doing, so we want to make sure and pull them back farther back to kind of where I am. That way they're out of range bolstering. So we can kill these hounds here. He will die, then we'll go pick back up the Matron, and then we'll B-res JB, and we're good. This is the best thing, and as you just heard JB calling out, that's really, really good. Like even a couple of weeks ago, as a group, we would have maybe struggled with that, where we were like on point. And that, my friends, is how it's done. He is correct. So we're at 35% right now, so I would have called that out here at some point. There's a lot of call-outs going on right now. But this is the best thing. I believe that was the only death we had this entire dungeon. Was one death that was on purpose. And as we're headed to the next dungeon, or if we're done for the night, we do kind of go over that as a group. Like, hey, we did a really good job here. We didn't do a good job here. And that way we can kind of build on that sort of thing. And I think that's one thing that's really helping with our group overall, is that we are saying, hey, this worked, this didn't work, let's try something else. And as you guys can see, my Raider IO just this one night went up by over 100. Like it was, I think I'm at 997 right now. Still nothing like crazy amazing, but having from last week even, a timed 10 and 11 on there, and then you have a timed 11, or excuse me, a timed 12, a timed 13, and a 6-minute shy 14 Temple of Sethralus. Like those are some good pulls for people, especially for the guys in the group. They play like twice a week. Like our Canadian buddies, they only play twice a week, and the only gear that they get is from our Mythic Pluses. And you can see that they're now putting in their work, and we're reaping the benefits of it. So this Goliath is pretty standard boss. You just want to make sure and have everybody nearby. That way I try to save my rapid fire for the I can't talk today. The soul thorns, there we go. Because it's just a quick and easy pop, they're dead. So we just pretty much roll cooldowns on this, or run through the fire like I like to do, because you guys better believe if there's extra damage to take, this hunter is going to be taking that damage. So that was really smart by me to make sure I got back within melee, since I am the only range and I have an extremely high range. There's no reason that I need to be way the heck out there for them to have to run off the boss to get to me. I'm either going to die or our DPS is going to suffer. So that being arranged and being aware of your surroundings will help in keys, especially if you're just pugging keys, to where I could have easily seen if you're the only range. I'm sorry, I did not mean to hit my mic there. If you're the only range and you're just standing way the heck away from everybody else, that you're either going to die or you're going to really make the boss take a lot longer to kill. So we are at 38%. They kind of thought that we were going to get a reaping there. Was not the case. So as you heard the call from JB, just AoE everything. So we wanted to make sure and just pop everything. And by the way, for all these plus 10s and better with the reaping affix, as a marksman hunter, it's really good to kind of time, and it does help once you kind of can figure out how long your true shot cooldown is going to be. If you're really good about whittling it down like I am, you can get one fairly, I think it's like, it's a 2-minute cooldown, and I can get it to like a minute and 10 seconds. So that's like a 50-second up or downtime on it, which is really good. So I want to make sure and save those and have them ready for every one of our reaping. Could not think of the word.
We got 4 seconds.
So we're just almost dead there. Almost dead. So there I go ahead and I turtle. I do have the ability to heal with my turtle, but that was just a call. Hey, I'm just gonna turtle. And as they said, they were turtling too.
Very good.
So we got the second of the reapings down. We tried to cheese the last reaping. It didn't work. However, it was actually in our favor. We were going to pull the last reaping with the last boss, but it actually turned out quite nicely the way we did it, because we got right to 100% at the very end. So you can see my target. We want to interrupt the infest on this guy, and as JB just said, the maggots will not bolster the peasants or the big mobs, but the big mobs will bolster the maggots. So that is something to take into consideration when you are running these Mythic Pluses on Bolstering Week, because that's some changes that they've made, because it didn't used to be that way. Just like in Temple of Sethrolis, in the big room we have to open the gate with the eyes, the orbs, that used to be where all those little dudes would bolster. And I just remember we said never again. We were never going in to Temple of Sethrolis again if it did like that. And they finally fixed it. So I made sure and was on the infest. That way we don't have any of those extra guys going out, doing some good damage in the process. And here I am actually, we're going to shut this door here in just a second, because of course, line of sight issues, tank standing on the other side equals bad time. But I am prepping now for when I'm going to be able to pull the boss. So I know that we've called out we will be lusting on this boss, because on most weeks you can lust on, well, it depends on which boss you get, of course. So there's some weeks you can get the Coven first, the Sisters, or the Triad, I guess. Then there's some weeks you'll get the Pigman first. And then there's some weeks, actually, I think those are the only two you get first normally. If I'm not mistaken there.
That we can do.
Correct me if I'm wrong though. But so you lust on the first boss, then this week I guess there's only 3 bosses plus the final boss. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm just all over the place today. Like, you would never do the Goliath first. That would make no sense. But you can do first boss. Not on second boss, then you can do it on third boss, and then you can do it on 5th boss, because there are the 5 bosses, which are the Triad, then you have the Goliath, then you have Pigman, then you have Lady Waycrest and her husband, and finally, what is it? Gorak Tul, I think is his name. So we're just going to clean out this room. We're at 57%, so we will be getting a reaping very soon. And I know a lot of people don't like the reaping. I absolutely love it. I just love the way the reaping works in these dungeons.
I don't know how I'm going to get mana.
I can see how they're... I think that the best thing I like, if I can collect my thoughts, is that you don't have to worry about, which one is infested this week, and doing a completely different run based on what is infested, because it would change from week to week. I like that aspect, that you don't have to worry about pulling completely differently, especially on weeks that were like teaming. Fortified teaming with infested was not fun, because it can get out of control, very quickly. So we are at 61%, as you heard Buon Samdi beckon them, and then we figured out they can run through those closed doors.
Coming through the doors. So watch your feet.
Yep, so call out for the feet again. So this is a pretty easy pack. There wasn't too many big guys. So I made sure, and I'm just slowly going back to give them as much room as possible, since, like I said, I am the only ranged. So I had my true shot up for that. And Murdoch, again, just completely thrashed me in damage. But, like, controlled pulls, like, we did very good there, to where we're just doing small controlled pulls. And, of course, I do have my pet out, because we will be lusting on this boss here. So my goal for this little bit here, obviously, is to kill everything. but I'm also trying to whittle down the cooldown of my true shot as much as possible. So you will see me use a lot more multi-shots and arcane shots than I normally would, because I normally use them just if I'm trying to not focus cap, or if I have them like procced, where right now, as you can see, I started with over a minute left on my cooldown, and all I'm doing is going steady shot, arcane shot, steady shot, arcane shot. I got it down to 7 seconds. Good. So basically 3 seconds by the time we pull the boss. Like that is really good, and that's what I really try to do the best in, especially in Mythic Plus. In Raid, it's not so much, because it'll almost always be up for the first pull of any boss.
Make sure you're staying, man.
But we are going to make sure on this boss to try to avoid the ads, so I probably should have done some more damage. I was kind of worried that we weren't going to do it, because here he's calling them now. Oh, he will in a second, and that we're not even we're like 45% or whatever. But a quick heal by me there, which I do love my pocket heal. It heals me for like 70% of my health. However, it doesn't now, unfortunately, because I did drop an Azerite piece that did have the salve Azerite trait, and that was what was really good, because I was running with 3 of them, so it was healing me for like 78% of my health. I think it was like 150k, something crazy. Like I would be almost dead, and then next thing you know. And by the way, I did try to knock those guys back. They apparently did not knock back for whatever reason. Who knows? But look at me, look at that damage there. The guys are putting in some work and kicking my butt. I'm gonna have to step it up.
I got another.
And Murdoch was tanking for the last second. And also, we did find out, so nicely done on that boss kill. I didn't know that bosses could be skittish. And I pull off of them. I was like, oh, I had no idea.
Witch is up.
So we'll get on the Rune Weaver here and then just cleave down the maggots. And I actually started single targeting because I forgot what I actually just told you guys not long ago, was the fact that the maggots will not bolster the big things, but the big things will bolster the maggots. And that was just me not paying attention, or just basically not paying attention. So as for percents, we are 71% as we are starting to head downstairs. I think we said we wanted 84?
Basically we need
83, so I just listen to the recording. Help me out there. So we want to make sure and get to 83% or so before we head downstairs. That way we won't have to backtrack at all. So we want to continue to DPS this Thorn Shaper just like every other one. This was a really easy week for Mythic Plus, and maybe that was the reason that we were able to push so well. But this next week is also a great week too, to where like everybody was just on point, and we got some really good keys, because we normally don't get Freehold, and Freehold of course is what I want because of the Harlan's loaded dice, which by the way, so this is a plus 12. We time it, we get a plus 13 Freehold. So I do get a certain trinket. Got it at 400. You guys will have to check out that video, of course. And then we get Temple of Sethralus 14, which was still pretty good. And I ended up getting, I think I got a ring out of the deal. I don't remember. You guys will just have to check it out. So we've got the captain here. So we made sure and got them as low as possible. That way we don't, bolster the heck out of something. So we're going to pull these back into the room, as you will hear JB calling out there, because the other matron that's down here does pat through here. And by pat through here, I mean that's actually we're already pulling her. So he would have already said that. Maybe I should actually watch the video, right? So the reason we did pull that last group back, like I said, because the matron does pat through here, and you do not, under any circumstance whatsoever, want to, especially on fortified weeks, you do not want to bolster her, because she will just start one-shotting people. So we can now cleave onto the soul essence, and then we will get our next reaping. I said cleave.
Oh, that's right. You're
Yeah, I made a joke about, he's like, okay, we can cleave now. And I was like, but there's only 2 targets. But he goes, no, just cleave. I was like, but I can't, because, marksman hunters can't cleave unless they have 3
Beat,
targets.
beat. Bones.
So we'll slowly
again.
get out of here and give them as much room as possible. And I'm just cleaving off of the Lost Soul, the Matron, just so, you know, because everything will die by then.
Wings on my face.
Beat.
And I'm just loving looking at this damage, how everybody is right up neck and neck. Like I go, you can see like every aim shot, next thing you know, I'm 3rd in damage. Like that's great. That's a good group.
Beat
I
again.
probably should have used my true shot, but I saved it.
Beat.
So got this reaping done as well. So we're at 81%, so we'll do one more
There's guys on
pro
the
pull.
left. There's
I don't remember who pulls it. I don't know if it's JB or not.
Coven Diviner.
Oh, yeah,
Yep,
look at
yep,
that.
there we go.
Look at that.
It looks like it was actually Murdoch using Tricks of the Trade, which is pretty good. Nicely done, my friend. So this one Diviner should be enough to get us
What do you think?
enough percent for downstairs.
Down?
It's gonna be close, but yeah.
We got, well, I think that's at actually
Well, if- what we could
82%.
do
As
is
I get
after the
stuck here,
boss,
I don't know
you
why. I was
can-
getting stuck
you
all
can-
over the place.
Teleport all the way to the top, right?
So we'll just basically clear out the rest of these rooms, and we have 13 minutes left on a plus 12, and we've got the 2 bosses, and the bosses aren't tyrannical.
Thank you.
So I mean, we are in a great position right now.
I also
We had considered
don't
trying to
aggro.
really
Got it.
press and pull the last group of reapings to the boss, which one we couldn't anyway, just because, well, we could, but why bother? Why mess up the key or for no gain? Because we're not going to 2-chest this. So we better actually chest it, you know what I mean? So you don't waste that opportunity at more
'Cause you are
fat
the man.
loot.
We love you.
So we'll finish off this sister
He is
here,
a man.
nice and easy. Just make sure when she drops candles, you move them out of the candles. I don't do a lot of tanking, but I do
Yeah,
know
check
that the
that
candles
one.
do hurt,
Buy another man.
especially on skittish weeks. So I talked about it earlier, and I have not said it this entire video. So on skittish weeks,
all about pay.
Marksman Hunter, very
Focus the
important. You want to be using your misdirect all the time.
souls.
Because it is one of the easiest way, that and Tricks of the Trade are the easiest way to help your tank out. A lot of the times I will let the tank go in, they'll get aggro initially, and then like 4 seconds in I will use my misdirect, I call it out to let him know that hey, you're going to have some more threat. Because if Lady Waycrest gets on one of the DPS, you're probably dead. Let's just be real, you're probably dead. We actually had that one group. Wasn't with this group, but JB was our healer. And when Lady Waycrest came over here during this fight, the tank didn't pick her up and just let us die. So that was fun. So now we're just on the penultimate boss here, working on Lady and Lord Waycrest. So it's pretty, for us, it's pretty much a tank and spank with two things. You have to dodge the Discordant Cadenza, as she just, it's basically the stuff on the ground. As I got some aggro there just for a second, immediately dropped that off. The perks of being a hunter, Feign Death saved me so much. Like not even kidding. And then if you get the green pool,
You know
the
what? This might
pathogen
actually be
on
good.
you,
We won't get the last
then
three.
that
We're
you just want to
almost
make sure and be away from the group, which for me, I don't have to do anything. I can just stand where I am. Whereas if you're melee, it is a little bit harder to deal with. But
There's
see,
always a lot more
I'm
to
just
it,
out of the
Spec.
way. Drop that
It's
there.
more than
Don't
I
get hit
expect.
by it. Easy life.
This is true. Oh, and pull each pack individually.
And
Yeah,
as
I
that,
know.
we're already
I-
see that's
I'm
how
bad for
easy
that.
the bosses were. We're talking about what we're going to do next in the dungeon,
Bones.
while we're still doing the bosses. So these bosses were pretty much a joke. So now we have both Lady and Lord Waycrest out, and of course I'm trying to pad my meters at this point, trying to
No.
make sure I beat them in damage. So I am just sticking on Lady Waycrest because she has more health and she's in that 80-20 zone. So I'm going to be doing more damage to her. I know. I can't wait for them to actually see the video and be like, oh, I knew that. But I made sure and just stayed on her. You normally just want to kill Lord Waycrest, then you
Nice
kill
friends.
Lady. Because she'll come over with the same amount of health at like 5% that he will at full.
Actually, you know what?
But I did manage to cheese it out and get ahead of them there.
Yeah.
So I guess Marksman Hunter OP.
These guys hurt. A lot.
So on these gloom
no.
horrors, we do want to make sure, as we were saying, to pull them one pack at a time. I think we can actually pull the last 2 packs together because there's only 2 in each.
Not much
Well,
I
there's
can really
3 in
do,
this
they're gonna
first one.
snap them.
And we are at 90%, and the best thing is we have
'cause
made
they-
percent.
especially when they're
So
bolstered,
as soon
they
as we
hurt.
clear all these out, which you pretty much have to get to the boss without, you know, death stretch, shenanigans, that sort of thing, at that point you might as well just kill them. To where we have enough to get our last reaping.
90%, eh?
Because we
Oh,
still
no,
have
it
a
will- these
a
guys
full
will
9
reap-
minutes,
will
which is
reap,
really,
right?
really nice. And I see our old buddy Zombies here just watching, hanging out, seeing if we're actually going to time this stupid thing for once.
Go ahead and pull the next group.
Yeah?
And so as just
Here,
as
let me
a
get my
a
runic
group
power
and
up.
as a
Okay,
a
alright.
whole, you want to make sure and be stacked up for these guys because they do jump away, and you as a range, like I wouldn't want to be way the heck away because otherwise they're just gonna jump and
I would need
be
bonus,
behind
and I
me
just
or
didn't
you
have
know
enough
whatever
runic power
else,
to really make
and
it
it's just
work.
harder for the rest of the group too.
Let me get
So we've got 97%. Gonna wait just a second for JB to get some mana. And we're already calling that we think it's going to be at a 99, but in fact we do get our 100%. So as
don't
you
know
saw
the
there,
pop
they all
thing,
jumped
you can
away,
basically
so
just go to the top of
everybody
the
was
stairs,
just
there's-
like, well,
there's an
all
NPC
that
you
stuff I was
chat to, and
casting,
they'll
no
tell
damage.
you that,
Her name is Lucille Waycrest.
So
Nice.
finish
There
off
we
this
go.
stuff. We are at 97%, soon to be
and I think
100.
what we'll do is, because all the doors will be open now, we can just go right. I'll go right.
They were so funny thing was, so when we were starting this
Yeah, exactly.
this dungeon, they were all like, "Oh yeah, we're always gonna go right. You always go right. You
Okay,
always
keep
go
going,
right."
keep coming down,
And
keep
then
going,
we're like,
down to the
"No,
bottom,
it's
down to
always
the bottom.
different." And then we immediately go
Yeah.
left at the very
Yeah, like
beginning.
that,
So we
that.
kind of made some jokes
do
at
it
his
or no?
expense for a bit
Yeah,
there.
it's
So we would come down here. That way we don't, because we were thinking about pulling it with the boss, but we're at 7 minutes. We're not going to 2-chest. There's no reason to
Bones?
jeopardize our key.
Misdirect is up. Watch your feet.
So
Oh,
we got to
feet.
make sure. And I had to find a line of sight because I wasn't used to pulling stuff like this on the stairs.
I'm gonna
I
continue
do have a
going
guy
up the
on me, but it's
stairs
not a
to
big deal.
Yeah, the Clark.
And I'm
Okay.
pretty much saving
Okay,
my
rep,
my
rep,
true
ready?
shot for the boss. I probably shouldn't have done
Feet
that. I
again.
should have went ahead and just used it because it's going to be up, you know, 20 seconds into the tool fight.
mess for
So
you.
I don't know why I did that. That was
Friends.
just me not thinking correctly, I suppose. We've just got just the one other thing up there.
You and me, JJ.
Make sure they get it down there, and then we are ready to finish this dungeon. This was a very, very clean dungeon.
Good.
Let's do
Like
it.
only one death, and it was a death on purpose. So that's some great progress from our group. So on this, of course, we have JB,
Slaver.
who will be burning the slavers.
Slaver's a slaver.
Keep lighting them on fire. Want to make sure and turn to the slavers each time. That way they
Guys
do
out
not
there,
stun
thank you.
anybody. Fun fact, I did get stunned at the very end because people did not kill him. But that's all right. So he's going to make sure and interrupt Gorak when he casts his ability. His lightning ability, I believe is what it's called.
Stunned anyway.
And then you just turn on the ads, and then you just basically stand there and get money.
What happened, this motherfucker? Fucking
So unfortunately, we did miss one of the slavers to where he tried to burn them, and then
Bones
they
just
actually
Lock
it
them.
just missed or something. I don't really know, to be honest with you. But he's already down to 30%.
Oh, I didn't
Yep.
get it.
So that one missed, but we just want to make sure and just kill it again. And the best thing is, so if you are stacking everything up, then you won't necessarily have to worry about flames. So you can actually hit a couple of them. Like you just throw the flame on the ground, it hits both of them.
Switch to it. Everybody switch to
So the death lens, you want to make sure and don't let that go off. As a marksman hunter or as a beast mastery hunter, you can use your feign death during that. I would do it towards the end of the cast, like I should have done right here, so I would avoid getting stunned. But I didn't.
Good,
Yep.
good.
So he asked me if I'm good because he knows that pocket heal is going to be popping up there in just a second, and what you saw healed me to full.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
So that was our first official timed plus 12. It happened to be Waycrest Manor. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I believe my item level was 403 in this this video. I hope you guys will consider subscribing to my channel, following me on Twitch. I do various things over there, including some vintage video games, and maybe even some more WoW content. And check out my live streams on Tuesday of Raid. Can't wait for Crucible, the next raid that will be dropping here in about a month. And I think that's all I've got for you guys, so until my next live stream or video, I'll see you guys later.